A Dog of Flanders. Chapter 1. Nello and Patrash. Although Nello was a boy and Patrash was a dog, they had a special friendship, closer to brotherhood. They were both the same age, yet one seemed old and the other was young. They spent all of their time together. Their home was a little hut on the edge of a small village. The village was near Antwerp. It was surrounded by cornfields and pastures. In the center of the village was a big windmill. A gray church stood across from the windmill. At the top of the church, there was an old clock. The clock rang every hour on the hour. It made a strange, empty sound. To the villagers, it seemed like the saddest sound in the world. Nello and Patrash lived with a very old man. This man, Jehan Das, was Nello's grandfather. He had once been a soldier. Sadly, he was wounded in a war and was now crippled. When Jehan Das was 80 years old, his only daughter died. The old man had no choice but to take care of his daughter's son. The old man and the little boy lived happily together. They were very poor, but they had each other. That was enough. As for Patrash, he made the old man and little Nello happier. Patrash, a dog of Flanders, was a slave once. His owner forced him to pull a cart full of iron. One summer day, Patrash was very thirsty when he was working, but he wasn't allowed to stop and drink. After some walking, he became dizzy and fell down. His owner ran up to him and beat him. Patrash couldn't move. His owner kicked him into a ditch and went away. After some time, an old man and a little boy saw Patrash. "We can't let such a beautiful dog die," said the old man. He dragged the big dog back to his hut. This was how old Jehan Das, little Nello, and Patrash first met. The old man and little Nello took great care of Patrash. More than this, they loved him. They patted him softly on the head. They made a bed for him to sleep in. This was the first time for Patrash to feel love. It seemed strange to him, yet wonderful. He was determined to get well soon and repay them for their kindness. He wanted to take care of them. When he finally stood up, he barked and stretched his legs. Nello and the old man danced for joy and hugged the dog. Patrash walked over to the cart. He knew that the old man used that cart to make money. Old Jehan Das carried farmers' milk cans to the market in Antwerp. He sold the milk for the farmers and brought the empty cans back. The farmers then gave him some of their profits. Patrash decided that the old man would never again pull such a heavy cart. Patrash stood by that cart for days. Finally, he started to pull the cart with his teeth. All right, called old Jehan Das. "I see that I can't persuade you not to pull the cart." The old man put a harness around Patrash's shoulders. Patrash was glad to do the work. This was easy work compared to what he used to do. Chapter 2. A few years later. Old Jehan Das became very weak. It was impossible for him to go out with the cart anymore. So little Nello collected money at the markets. He worked hard and honestly. The farmers were happy to do business with such a fine, hard-working boy. In the afternoon, the two came back home. Patrash would shake off his harness and bark with delight. Nello would talk to his grandfather about the day's business. They would all eat their simple meals together. Old Jehan Das would tell funny stories about the days when he was a soldier. They would all laugh and have fun. Many years passed, and they were still happy. Flanders is not a beautiful place. There is not much to see besides cornfields and farms. However, its simple beauty is enough to be enjoyed by a boy and his dog. These two couldn't imagine a more beautiful place in the world. It's true that life was harder in the wintertime, but they never complained about being cold. Their simple hut was warm enough. They didn't mind that they were poor. They had each other, and that was enough. There was only one thing that Patrash didn't like. Antwerp is a city full of old churches. Everywhere you looked in Antwerp, you could see a church. Inside the churches, you could find the masterpieces of Rubens. Rubens was a great artist, a great master. He was the only person whom the local people worshipped. Now, the trouble with Patrash was this. Nello worshipped Rubens as well. The little boy would often disappear into the churches. The poor dog had to wait outside in the cold. When the little boy came back, he always seemed very sad. "If only I could see them, Patrash," he would say. What were they? Patrash had no idea. There were two large covered paintings at a church. The little boy was crying. "It is so terrible that I can't see those paintings. Just because I'm poor and I can't pay. Rubens painted those for everyone to see, not just for the rich." He couldn't see them, and Patrash couldn't help him. People had to pay a silver coin in order to see them. That was more money than Nello could save in a month. Little Nello loved art passionately. When the little boy walked through the town, he was amazed by the beauty he saw. He would look at a simple church or a windmill and notice its beauty. Although Nello had never gone to school, he was nonetheless a very smart child. No one had taught him how to read. No one had taught him how to draw. In fact, no one had taught him anything. He had what people call genius. No one knew it. He didn't even know it himself. Only Patrash had an idea. That big, smart old dog noticed the boy drawing on stones. He often watched Nello's face brighten when he saw a wonderful sunset. The boy secretly wished to become a great artist. He never told any person this, however, and Jehan Das had other ideas for him. He wanted his little grandson to become a farmer. He felt that all men should become simple farmers. To the old man, becoming a farmer was the greatest success in the world. However, Nello didn't want to become a farmer at all. He couldn't tell the old man that. It would break his heart. Sometimes in the evenings, Nello would whisper about his dreams into Patrash's ears. Patrash was the only one that would understand him. No one else would. So he and Patrash kept it a secret. Chapter 3. A Little Girl. Eventually, Nello told his secret to another person. That person was a little girl who lived nearby. Her name was Alois. She lived in a red mill. Her father, Bas Kojes, was the miller. He was quite a rich man. Little Alois was a pretty girl. She had dark eyes and bright rosy cheeks. Little Alois often played with Nello and Patrash. They gathered daisies and berries in the field. They went up to the old gray church together. They ran in the snow. Alois was the richest little girl in the village. People in the town dreamed that their sons would marry her. When Nello, Alois, and Patrash were in the fields, Nello drew a portrait of Alois. At that moment, Bas Kojes was walking through the field. When he saw Nello and Alois there, he became very angry.
"Alois,"
he called out.
"Why are you playing here? Go home quickly."
Bas Kojes then picked up the drawing of Alois. Nello's face turned red. "I draw everything I see," he said.
"Here, I'll give you this silver coin for your drawing. I think spending your time drawing things is foolish. But I do like this picture a lot."
"Please take this drawing as a gift," Nello said. Nello walked away across the fields. "I could have seen the Rubens paintings with that money," he said to Patrash, "but I just couldn't sell her picture." Bas Kojes returned to his mill that night.
"Nello shouldn't play with Alois so much,"
he said to his wife.
"He's 15 years old now, and she's 12. In a few years, he'll probably want to marry her. He's just a poor boy who's never been to school."
"But he's a good and honest boy," said his wife.
"I agree,"
said the miller.
"But he spends all of his time drawing. He'll never be a landowner like me. Listen to me. You keep that boy away from Alois. If not, then I'll send her far away to a convent."
The next day, she told Alois not to play with Nello anymore. Alois, however, didn't listen to her. A few days later, Alois went to see Nello as usual. When she put her hand in his, Nello said, "No, Alois, we shouldn't make your father angry. He doesn't want you to play with poor boys. He is a good man. We should obey him." Nello was very sad to say this. The world was an uglier place without her. From then on, Nello would never stop at the mill. When walking to town, he would pass right by it without even looking. The boy no longer had a friend in the world except Patrash. And he was poor. There was nothing in the world that could change that. Old Jehan Das often said to him, "We are poor. We must take what God sends. The poor can't choose." The boy always listened in silence. But in his heart remained a small, sweet hope. A hope that he may one day be rich and famous. "Sometimes the poor can choose," he said when he was alone with Patrash. "They can choose to be great. Then people can no longer say no to them." He talked to Patrash until late that evening about what a great artist he would be. Nello believed in the future. When the boy and the dog came home, old Jehan said, "Nello, today is Alois's birthday, isn't it? Why aren't you at the party?" "You're too sick, Grandfather. I can't leave you alone." "Nonsense! Have you had an argument with Alois?" "Not at all. To be honest, Baz Kojas didn't invite me this year. I don't think he likes me." "But surely you didn't do anything wrong." "No, I drew a picture of Alois, that's all." The old man sighed. He had never been to school, yet he understood the world too well. "Ah, you are very poor, my boy. So poor." "Yes, but I will be rich," he said, "in the future." And he believed it. Chapter 4. Hope. Nello had a secret that only Patrash knew about. There was an empty hut near his home. In this hut, Nello had drawn many sketches. Nello couldn't buy any colors, but he found some charcoal and chalk and some rough paper. He could draw anything in black and white and still make it look beautiful. Nello heard of a drawing contest. 200 francs would be given to the first prize winner. On the morning of the first, Nello loaded his drawing onto the cart. He left his work at the door of the city hall, as instructed. "Maybe it's a terrible drawing," he thought. "I've never learned anything about art." Nello walked home that day with many doubts. The winter was very bitter. Pulling the milk cart was very hard work. Patrash often slipped on the icy roads. Patrash had become an old dog. One day, Nello and Patrash found a pretty puppet in the snow. Nello tried to find its owner, but no one was around. "This is a good present for Alois," he thought. He quietly climbed up to her window and knocked on it. Alois opened the window. "Here is a doll I found in the snow. said Nello. "Take it." With that, he went away quickly. Alois didn't even have a chance to thank him. That night, there was a big fire at the mill. All the people in the village came out to put out the fire. The miller was furious. "This fire was not an accident," he yelled. "Somebody set this fire on purpose, and he'll pay for it." Nello ran to the fire. He wanted to help. When he arrived at the mill, Baz Kojes yelled at him. "You, Nello! You know something about this fire, don't you? I saw you hanging around here earlier today. I believe that you set this fire. I don't want to see you ever again." From that day on, there was a rumor in the village that Nello had started the fire. Many people thought that the boy was angry with Baz Kojes, and they believed that he had started the fire for revenge. The farmers didn't give Nello their milk anymore. The times were very difficult for Nello and his family. They could no longer earn money to buy food. They became very hungry, and the winter was very cold. For Nello, the only thing that gave him hope was the drawing contest. He thought, "If only I could win. Then they'd feel sorry about being so mean to me." Still, Nello tried to understand his neighbors. "Sometimes people make mistakes. I should forgive them," he thought. Old Jehan Das became quite weak that winter. Chapter 5. Christmas. Christmas was coming. The snow was 6 feet deep. Everyone loved that time of year. Even the poor people of the village had cakes and cookies to eat. Nello and Patrash were completely alone. Old Jehan Das had died a week before Christmas. He had died in his sleep. Patrash and Nello were very sad. On the day of his funeral, they were the only ones who attended. Sadly, they would lose even their simple home. They didn't have enough money to pay the rent. The landlord told them to get out. Instead of rent money, the landlord took everything that they had. It was the night of the 23rd of December. Nello and Patrash slept under the stars without a blanket. On the morning of Christmas Eve, they walked along the road to Antwerp. The winner of the prize was to be announced at noon. At noon, the doors of the building were opened. The crowd ran into the hall. As Nello entered the room, he saw a big drawing on the wall. It wasn't his own. He hadn't won the contest. He was so disappointed and said to Patrash, "It's all over." The two started walking back to the village. They were hungry, sad, and tired. Snow was falling fast. It was terribly cold on the way to the village. Suddenly, Patrash smelled something strange. He stopped and started scratching at the snow. He pulled out a small brown leather wallet. On the front of the case, the words Baz Kojes were written. Nello looked inside the wallet. He found 2,000 francs. He walked to the mill house and knocked on the door. When the miller's wife answered the door, she was crying. "Poor boy, you'd better leave before my husband sees you. He's angry tonight. He lost a lot of money." Nello took out the wallet and gave it to her. "Patrash found the money," he said. "Please ask your husband to take care of my dog. He's old and weak. Please be good to this kind animal." He kissed his dog and quickly left. Nello had saved Alois and her family. If they had lost all that money, they would have been ruined. The miller's wife led the dog inside the house. Soon after, Baz Kojes entered through the back door. He was very sad. "I can't find it. It's gone." Then, his wife laid the wallet in his hands. She explained to him how Patrash and Nello found the wallet. "I have been cruel to that boy," he said at last. "Nello and Patrash should be with us on Christmas Day, and every day after that too. Let's go and find him in the morning." The miller didn't know that Nello had no hut to sleep in that night. Baz Kojes and his family had dinner that evening. Patrash wouldn't eat any food. He just lay down and cried. Later in the evening, Patrash ran out the door as a visitor was entering the house. The dog followed those footprints all the way to Antwerp. The streets of Antwerp were empty by this time. Patrash reached the steps of the big church. He climbed up the steps. He saw one of the doors open. He walked in and found Nello inside the church. When the boy saw his dog, he put his arms around him. "Let's lie down together and die," Nello cried out. "We aren't needed in this world." The two lay down together on the floor. The boy and his dog thought about the good old days. Then the snow stopped falling. The moon came out from behind the clouds. Moonlight brightened the inside of the church for a moment. Nello looked up and clearly saw the two paintings of the great Rubens. They were the paintings of Jesus suffering on the cross. Nello stood up and stretched his arms out to them. Tears streamed down on his face. "Oh God," he said, "I've seen them at last. It is enough. We will see his face soon." The boy and the dog then fell asleep. The next morning, people found the boy and the dog. They had frozen to death in the middle of the night. Throughout the day, the townspeople came to pay their respects to Nello and Patrash. Baz Kojes came with Alois, too. "I was so cruel to that poor boy. I wish I could have made it up to him." A famous painter came to the church that day. "I want to pay my respects to a great artist. That boy should have won the contest." He carried Nello's drawing with him. It was a drawing of a simple woodcutter sitting on a fallen tree. Nello was hugging Patrash so tightly that they could not be separated. They rested together peacefully in the ground.